I now give the call to the honourable member for Hasluck, if he's going to seek it.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I rise to support the motion by the member for Banks. Community organisations play an integral role in all of our electorates and deserve to be recognised for their ongoing commitment to the people they serve. The electorate of Hasluck has a comprehensive network of community organisations providing emergency relief, advice and support to the vulnerable people of our communities. More often than not, the people these organisations support are those on low incomes, those who have hit rock bottom, or those who find themselves in a difficult situation in need of some immediate stopgap assistance to help them get back on track. One cannot underestimate the dedication and the true humanity of those people across Hasluck who work in these organisations. They are literally the coalface of the human experience. They are dealing with the acute and often desperate basic needs of fellow human beings. I would like to recognise the contribution of many of our church organisations to the relief and support programs that they operate across Hasluck. I believe every denomination is actively involved in making a difference to their local community. The network of community groups operating across Hasluck includes assistance in the areas of food and emergency relief, accommodation and housing, legal advice and advocacy. I will start with the most basic needs on Maslow's hierarchy and share with you some of the organisations handing out food to families in Hasluck. There is a very strong connection with many of the churches across Hasluck in the provision of emergency food relief to the families in need, including Thornley Anglican Hampers. Dorothy Grimshaw and Wendy Smith work tirelessly to provide food hampers to Thornley families. The Anglican Parish of the Gosnells Welfare and Community Services and the work that Audrey Shalley and her team do. The Kenwick Real Life Church run a weekly cafe, an opportunity shop and have activities for children. This church also runs after-school activities collecting children from different schools and groups, from preschoolers through to the elderly. They are a community hub, a safe place for many to come and to be welcome. Another organisation I've had a close association with is the Highway Cafe, run from the Gosnells Baptist Church. Patrick and Sally Grogan run an extensively and extremely efficient and much-needed service in the area on Monday evenings, and they can serve up to 290 families in one evening. The Crossways Community Services operates pantries, op shops and computer workshops. For those of us to whom computers and computing is a way of life, it is worth remembering that it is not the case for all members of our communities. With so much information, and particularly government information being only available online, computer literacy is an important skill. Communicare, Mission Australia and the Salvation Army and St Vincent de Paul all have extensive networks throughout my electorate of Hasluck. The support and care these groups give in our community, for whatever reason that people find themselves in terms of need of relief, is priceless. I would like to mention in particular the Rua Tenancy Fast Track in Maddington, who assist the most vulnerable, those with mental illness. Manager Tony Chorley provides outstanding assistance and support in a difficult area of assistance, and so often we forget the needs of those who experience mental health problems. Foundation Housing, Centre Care and Access Housing all provide long-term low-rent accommodation options to those on low and middle incomes. With public housing lists and waiting periods being up to 7 years, this is an important adjunct to the accommodation options for those people of Hasluck. We have several wonderful organisations which provide legal, financial and advocacy within Hasluck, and they are the Gosnells Community Legal Centre, Midlas, or the Midland Information, Debt and Legal Advocacy Service Incorporated, and the Foothills Informational Referral Services, or FIRS as we affectionately call them. I have met with staff at all three organisations and have seen firsthand the work they do on a day-to-day basis. I do not think we can underestimate the commitment of the staff in these organisations. It takes a special person to work with those in crisis on a day-to-day basis in the work that they do, the way they reach out. Our community owed the staff at the Gosnells Community Legal Centres, Midlas, or the Midland Information Debt and Legal Advocacy Service Incorporated, and the Foothills Informational Referral Service, a debt of gratitude. All these organisations deal with the pointy end of relief and support. Hasluck is lucky to have other organisations which provide essential relief, support and help to the elderly in their homes, and to families who are getting by but need the extra bit of assistance to make it through the week. And these groups also include People Who Care. Based in Guildford, they provide home help, gardening and transport. Alan Newell and his team of amazing volunteers are assisting and enriching the lives of all those that they help. Social isolation is developing into a significant issue in many urban landscapes. We are all guilty of being too busy to look in on the older neighbour in the street. People Who Care and other organisations such as the local government home and the community care organisations provide the much-needed social contact and engagement for many lonely and isolated people. The Gosnells Women's Health Service provides family and relationship counselling, parenting classes and events for both mothers and children. We owe so much to those who give willingly to others and who provide a point of support that enhances the humanity of compassion for both the giver and the recipient. I'm often amazed at the capacity of individuals who give of their time so freely in community organisations, who, when you consider their salaries, it is not the factor that drives them, but their commitment to providing a level of support and intervening in a constructive way in the lives of ordinary Australians who live within their suburbs and communities. We underestimate the effectiveness of the work that they do, and as we know that if we were to fund the real cost, governments would not be able to afford the work that is done by those who volunteer in community organisations. I thank the member for Banks for giving us the opportunity to stand in this committee room and in this chamber to acknowledge the contribution the community organisations make to our way of life as a country. I spent some time recently with Midlas, and in talking and meeting with each individual staff, I asked them what was it that drove them. And each of them made the point that what they wanted to do was give back and help those who did not have the capacity, and in many cases the educational level, to be able to engage constructively with the organisations that make the difference on their daily living and their daily lives, but also to have that strong advocacy role. And more recently, I've become engaged with another organisation in Midland who is looking at the employment pathways and opportunities for those who do not complete their schooling. And what they do is they connect young people into pathways that engages them in lifelong learning, but into the opportunity of being engaged back in a workforce in a real and meaningful way. I think too often we take for granted the work that community organisations and the non-profits do and make some assumptions. I certainly dedicate my time and commitment to the work that they do and will advocate very strongly so that they are able to enhance their capacity to reach those Australians that we know need the levels of support and intervention in a way that enriches their lives. Because unless we do that, we lose the essence of the humanity that should always prevail within our societies. And I would hope that each of us as members of this parliament, that we engage with some rigour with the non-profit organisations who provide so much. I want to conclude by saying to all of those, particularly in my electorate of Hasluck, but in all electorates across this country, congratulations on the work that you do. Continue to give with the passion and the belief that you have, and thank you for the difference that you make for ordinary families, those members with mental health challenges, but particularly for those who engage in wanting to improve their lot in life, but their circumstances don't enable them to do that. So to all of you, thank you deeply.